nope, that dog ain't going to hunt. That bird ain't going to fly. That worm ain't going to slither. Friel, we get the point already. As promised. About an hour ago, if you're keeping track of time. This is Wretched Radio. Politics time. But speaking of Ben Shapiro, I'm just kidding. Let's get to a political high season inside of evangelical Christianity. Why? Because it's convention season, and there's all kinds of reports, all kinds of behind-the-scenes activity that have pretty big implications for the church. Let's begin with the biggest Protestant denomination in the U.S. of A. That would be your SBC, the Southern Baptist Convention. The current president, who was a surprise winner at the Southern Baptist Convention, people wondering, what does this bellwether, what does this tell us about the SBC with its attitude toward the role of women, CRT, biblical inerrancy, all of those perennial issues swirling around in the SBC. Ed Litton was nominated 2 weeks after the fact. It was discovered that his preaching sounded a lot like the former president's. Nevertheless, he pressed on despite there were not a lot of loud calls, interestingly, but there were some calls for his resignation. He stuck in there, but now a year into it, he's saying, not going to do that again. It appears, according to his statement, that he wants to focus on racial reconciliation. Well, isn't that interesting? What does that mean? What does that look like? Time will tell. But now other men are throwing their hats into the ring. There's a president in Florida who has said, yeah, I'll be nominated. I think that's kind of the way it plays out in the SBC. You start getting talked about before the convention so that when it hits, you're not like this dark horse out of no place. He's thrown his hat in the ring, and there's another man who's being discussed on the internet as the potential president of the SBC. Who is that fellow? Voddie Baucham. I didn't know that his church was SBC, but the church that he pastored in America was an SBC church that sent him. He was sent by that church. But there are some details inside of the Southern Baptist documents that guide and determine policy for the convention that make it very possible he couldn't be elected because of his current standing. We'll dive into those details, but here's my suspicion on the dealie, Bob. Whilst I think a lot of us would really enjoy having Voddie as the president of the SBC, tell me, that wouldn't be interesting. That would be something where you would see a house cleaning. That would be something that would cause people to go, that's our direction, which is a firm position on CRT, a firm position on the role of women in the church. I think you might see some chaff flying away from the SBC, but here's my prediction. Yeah. Wasn't getting a word. Ever since I walked into the wall and hit my nose. By the way, thank you for the outpouring of flowers and chocolates. My nose is fine. Thank you for caring. Not one email, Jimmy. Not one. Oh, you and your poor nose. Not a single shred of sympathy because I walked into a wall.
I'm sorry.
And I would have done it again last night if I hadn't put my hand out in front of me to determine whether or not I had a clear path back to bed. So thank you for that. I feel so encouraged. Here's my prediction about voting. I predict it probably won't happen. And I don't think it's necessarily because of the bylaws. I think it's because of how firm he is on these positions. He is not traditional SBC politically correct. He is more than willing to, not with any sort of nasty contempt, but he is willing to say, nope, that dog ain't going to hunt. That bird ain't going to fly. That worm ain't going to slither. Friel, we get the point already. So would it be great if Voddie became the president? I think it would be super groovy. Is it going to happen? Maybe it would be the bylaws that would put the kibosh on it, but I suspect it's just that Voddie's too plain spoken. Isn't that, interestingly, what the Southern Baptist Convention experienced, 30, 40 years ago during the conservative resurgence? Plain spoken, here's where we're at. This is the pony we're riding. It's called the Bible, and we're not getting off of it. We're not going to veer to the left or to the right. And that is what won the day. In my opinion, I'm an outsider of the SBC. My opinion is we just need straight talk. Just shoot it straight. Tell us where you're really at with these things. And we recognize that there can be some fudging around the margins on these things. But if the opinion is so diverse that CRT, well, it's not so bad versus it's horrible, I don't. And regarding the role of women, have we, by the way, Jimmy, you're following the news all the time. Have we seen anything about the SBCs dealing with Saddleback Church in California?
Absolutely nothing.
I did hear that they were going to study the issue.
Yeah. Oh, that was a resolution.
Right.
Made it, but I haven't heard a result of that.
No, I don't think we need a study.
No.
I don't. What is there to study? Did we not understand 1 Timothy 2 before there were female pastors ordained at Saddleback Church? Did we not understand that that's a big no-no? What needs to be studied? Bring, bring. Hi, Rick. Yeah. Did you actually ordain women as pastors? Mm-hmm. Do you stand behind that? We do. All right. Thanks a bunch. Be watching your mailbox. I don't know how difficult it is, but then again, I'm not in the SBC. For whatever this is worth, Voddie doesn't know that he would be qualified either, stating, I have indeed been asked to accept a nomination for SBC president. While I'm honored to have been asked, I'm not sure I'm eligible. There are questions about the way church membership is considered for missionaries. SBC Article 2 and Article 8 specifically. And I'm not sure that the two are close enough to each other to be about one another. But I'm not an SBC lawyer, so I can't tell you exactly what these things mean. But Article 8 of SBC's Constitution requires all officers of the SBC must be members of Baptist churches cooperating with his convention. So here's how I understand it. Voddie was sent by his SBC church, but because he wanted to be a member of a sound local church, where he is right now in Africa, he's no longer a member of the SBC. Therefore, because he wanted local church membership, he doesn't think that he's going to be qualified. We'll let the SBC lawyers deal with that. My sending church, the church that he planted, has always practiced regenerate resident church membership. In other words, you can't be a cowboy Christian. Even if you're a missionary, you've got to be a member of a local church, even if it's the church that you're planting. We've always believed that missionaries sent to the field needed to join local churches in order to be shepherded properly. Amen. And Voddie, in the context of, I think Christian Post contacted him to talk about the internet rumors that were swirling, which he confirmed. There's been talk about nominating Voddie. He stated there's a big problem out in the missions field that you've got a lot of missionaries out there, and they are not under the authority of a local church. They can be back in the States, but it's not local, and that puts them in danger. And so Voddie is concluding, the way I read it, I don't think it's going to happen. Whether it's the bylaws or not, I think it is this that's going to keep Voddie from being the grand poobah of the SBC. Quote, popular evangelicalism is woke, so most of the things that I'm pointing out put me on the outside of the echo chamber, not the inside. I'm not going to be invited to Crew or InterVarsity or the Gospel Coalition, or I could run down the list. I'm not going to be invited to any of those things that are the premier places in evangelicalism. Forget the SBC, the PCA, the Southern Baptist Seminary couldn't hire me today because of all of these ideas. They would be completely pilloried if they hired me. So far from writing from an echo chamber, I'm actually speaking out and putting myself outside the echo chamber. Who will be the next president of the SBC? I don't know. I do know it's not going to be Ed Litton, and I suspect it won't be Voddie Baucham, although, come on, tell me. If that happened, first, just watching it on the floor, that's popcorn worthy. I just sit there and watch it happen because it would be so revealing. We want the SBC to be strong, but we want it to be biblical. It's political season. The SBC convention, that's the big one to watch for my money. Let's be praying for the SBC that, okay, if they don't nominate Voddie, a Voddie-like person, this is Wretched Radio. You're just watching a one segment from the 4 segments that we do every single day on Wretched Radio. If you'd like to watch the whole shebang, you can do so at wretched.org. Well, thank you, Carol. I can't wait to try some of that low-sodium peppermint lasagna. Sounds delicious. Let's get to the weather, shall we? As you can see, we are going to have a massive warm front moving its way up the eastern seaboard, expecting temperatures upper 90s and low 100s. Unless, of course, you're outside of Christ. Then on Judgment Day, it is going to be hot. Back to you, Carol. Not only hot, weeping, gnashing of teeth. And so thirsty, your tongue's going to be stuck to the roof of your mouth. You're just going to wish for a storm to come through, which you folks down in the South can be expecting on Wednesday.